All right, buckle up, everybody, because we're about to take a deep dive into the world of angels.
Ooh, I like that.
You guys sent in some really interesting stuff, especially this text
Oh, yeah.
called The Angel You've Never Heard of.
Right.
And it's got a subtitle like, You Need to Know.
Big, bold letters.
Yes. And we're going to unpack it. We're so excited. We're going to explore some really, I think, surprising things about angels, especially the 4 named angels in the Bible.
Yeah.
And what makes each of them unique.
I think what's going to be really interesting for you listeners is that this text goes deep, like really deep into Scripture to challenge some assumptions about angels.
Like for example, the idea that angels are just spirits of the dead coming back to Earth.
Yeah, that's a big one.
This text makes it very clear that angels are a completely separate creation made by God even before humans.
It says that right in Psalm 8.5.
Oh, okay. So that's like biblically backed up.
Yeah, it actually paints this picture of angels as these messengers that are always working for God. And there are multitudes of them. Like, we can't even imagine how many angels are in heaven.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing. Only a few are actually named in the Bible.
Okay, well, that makes those named angels even more intriguing, right?
Exactly.
So who are these VIPs of the angelic realm?
Well, it might surprise you, but the text starts with Lucifer.
Okay.
You know, as in the fallen angel.
Yeah.
So it talks about how Lucifer was incredibly beautiful, incredibly wise. He was adorned with precious stones.
Wow.
But pride led to his downfall. He wanted to be like God, which obviously a big no-no.
Yeah.
Got him kicked out of heaven.
Wow. Talk about a fall from grace, huh? Ultimate cautionary tale. But if Lucifer is like the fallen angel, who are the good guys? Who are the...
Well, the text goes into Michael the archangel next.
Okay.
And he is depicted as the ultimate warrior. He is a protector of God's people. The prophet Daniel, he actually describes Michael as the one who stands guard, ready to defend against any threat.
So is Michael like the captain of the angelic army then?
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting people. There's actually this story about Michael rescuing another angel who was stuck, unable to deliver a prayer.
Wow.
Because interference from this powerful being called the Prince of Persia.
Hold on, so there are other powerful beings out there besides angels?
Oh, there's a whole lot more going on.
Oh my gosh.
In this cosmic chess game than we realize.
This is getting good.
And Michael is right in the middle of it.
Okay.
Always battling to ensure God's will is done.
Wow.
It even mentions a dispute over Moses' body, where Michael had to step in.
Oh my gosh. So is he like undefeated?
Basically, yeah.
That paints a very impressive picture of his power. And it makes you wonder if there's like a hierarchy among angels. Like Michael's the general leading the troops.
That's a really fascinating observation. And the text seems to suggest that's a real possibility.
Okay.
But let's move on to another famous angel, shall we?
Yes.
One who brings good news, especially around Christmas time.
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Yeah. Gabriel's like practically a household name. He's the one who appeared to Zechariah, told him about the upcoming birth of John the Baptist, even though Zechariah was old and didn't believe it was possible.
Right. And of course, we can't forget Gabriel's most famous announcement.
Yeah.
The one to Mary, telling her she would give birth to Jesus.
It's interesting, though. We often picture Gabriel as this, like, gentle, almost angelic figure.
Right.
But the text points out that his appearances were actually pretty terrifying.
Yeah, very much so.
People were scared when they saw him.
Makes sense. It's a good reminder that even though angels are beings of light, they're incredibly powerful and otherworldly, their presence would naturally evoke awe and even fear in those who encountered them. I mean, yeah, I can see that. All right, so we've got Lucifer, Michael, and Gabriel, who's the 4th named angel. This is the one you said I might not know.
This one is a bit of a mystery, even to those familiar with the Bible.
Oh, okay.
His name is Abaddon, or Apollyon.
Okay.
And he's not exactly what you'd call a friendly face.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Tell me more. What makes Abaddon so different?
Well, the text describes him as the king of the locusts, ruling over the bottomless pit.
Whoa. Okay. Definitely not the kind of angel you'd want to meet in a dark alley.
No, definitely not.
Is he considered a demon then?
It's a tricky question. The text seems to suggest that Abaddon is a demon,
Okay.
but one who works under Satan's command, not Satan himself.
So even among demons, there's a hierarchy.
It seems so.
Wow.
And the fact that Abaddon's title is destroying angel definitely adds to his ominous aura.
Yeah.
He's associated with the abyss, where the devil is supposed to be cast.
Which doesn't sound like a very pleasant place.
No, not at all.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff. It's like we're peeking behind the curtain of the spiritual realm and seeing this complex world of angels and demons and who knows what else.
Seriously.
It makes you wonder what other stories are out there just waiting to be discovered.
It certainly does. It seems like we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic.
I know, right?
It's interesting that we've been talking about this hierarchy, in both the angelic and the demonic realms, right? It really makes you think about the nature of good versus evil.
Yeah, it's almost like there's this cosmic battle going on behind the scenes, a constant struggle between light and darkness.
And speaking of darkness, we can't talk about angels without touching on their counterparts, demons. Now, the source doesn't go into a full-blown demonology lesson, but it does offer some clues. Remember how we talk about Lucifer and his fall from grace? Well, the text suggests that those who followed him, those who rebelled against God, became demons.
Okay, so essentially demons are fallen angels.
Yeah, that's the idea.
But what makes them choose to turn away from good and embrace evil?
That's a really deep question.
Yeah.
And the text doesn't give us a straightforward answer. But it does paint this picture of demons as forces of chaos and darkness constantly trying to work against God's plan. It's like they're the ultimate rebels, determined to disrupt divine order.
So if angels are God's special agents working to protect and guide humanity, then demons are kind of like the rogue agents, causing havoc and temptation wherever they go.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the choices we make in our own lives. Are we aligning ourselves with the forces of good, or are we giving in to those darker impulses?
It's almost like we're caught in the middle of this cosmic battle, constantly bombarded by influences from both sides. But ultimately, we have the power to choose which path we follow.
Exactly. And that brings us to the idea of free will. We're not just puppets being manipulated by angels and demons. We have the ability to think for ourselves, to make decisions, and to take responsibility for our actions.
It's empowering to think that we have a role to play in this grand scheme of things, that our choices actually matter.
Absolutely. But with that power comes responsibility. And it makes you wonder, if angels are working for God's will, do they ever step in to help us make the right choices?
Ooh, that's a big one. Divine intervention.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we see hints of it in the stories we've already discussed. Michael rescuing that angel, for example. It does make you wonder if God sends his messengers to intervene in human affairs more often than we realize. The text doesn't explicitly say how often divine intervention happens. But it does suggest that angels are constantly working behind the scenes. Maybe sometimes they nudge us in the right direction. Maybe they whisper wisdom in our ear. Or maybe they even step in to protect us from harm.
I like the idea of having a guardian angel, looking out for me. But even if angels are guiding us, there's still so much suffering in the world. Why wouldn't God intervene to stop all the bad things from happening?
It's a question.
It's
tough that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah,
it's a really tough question, and one that theologians have been debating for centuries. The text doesn't claim to have all the answers. But it does emphasize the importance of faith. Maybe it's about trusting that God has a plan. Even if we don't always understand it.
So even if we don't understand why bad things happen, we can still believe that there's a greater purpose at play. And that maybe, just maybe, angels are part of that plan.
That's a really comforting thought. Especially when we're going through difficult times. And it brings us back to the idea of prayer. If we believe that angels are messengers, could prayer be a way of communicating with God and asking for their help?
That's a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe prayer is like sending a message to the divine, asking for guidance, protection, or even intervention.
Right.
And maybe angels are the ones who receive those messages and carry them out.
It's a beautiful concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests that we're not just, passive recipients of God's grace, but active participants in our own spiritual journey.
Right.
We can reach out, ask for help, and invite divine guidance into our lives.
It's empowering to think that we have that kind of agency, that our choices and actions can actually influence the spiritual realm.
Right.
But how do we know if our prayers are being answered?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answers are clear, like a sudden change in circumstances or a feeling of peace that washes over you.
Right.
But other times the answers are more subtle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's about paying attention to those little synchronicities, those moments of unexpected grace, or even those challenges that push us to grow and learn.
Exactly. Maybe it's not always about getting what we want.
Yeah.
But about becoming who we're meant to be.
Right.
And maybe angels are part of that process, gently guiding us toward our highest potential.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about angels and demons and good versus evil and free will and even touched on the idea of prayer.
Right.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is, yeah.
But it also makes you wonder how all of this applies to our everyday lives,
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We've been exploring these really big concepts, but it's important to connect them back to you, our listener, and how this knowledge can actually impact the way you live.
Right. What does it mean for us if angels really are watching over us?
Yeah.
Does it change the way we approach things?
Well, for one thing, it might change the way we think about our choices.
Okay.
If we believe that we have spiritual allies cheering us on,
right,
and that our actions have a ripple effect beyond what we can see, it might motivate us to be a little kinder, a little more compassionate, a little more intentional about the things we do.
It's almost like knowing that you have an audience, right?
Yeah.
It makes you think twice about your behavior.
And it might also make us more likely to reach out for help when we need it.
Okay.
If we believe that there's a higher power listening to our prayers and that angels might be the ones delivering those messages.
Right.
It could give us the courage to ask for guidance or strength or even just a little bit of comfort when things get tough.
It's like having a direct line to a support system we can't see, but that's always there for us.
Right.
But let's be real.
Right.
Life isn't always sunshine and roses. How does the idea of angels and divine intervention help us deal with the hard stuff, like suffering and loss?
That's where the concept of hope comes in. Even when things are really, really dark, even when we don't understand why things are happening, the belief that we're not alone, that there are forces of good working on our behalf, can be incredibly powerful.
It's like having a light at the end of the tunnel, right? A reminder that even though we're going through something difficult, there's something bigger out there that cares about us and wants us to be okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories out there about people who have experienced things that they can only explain as miracles, as divine intervention, as the work of angels.
It's true. And even if we don't necessarily believe in miracles literally, there's something about those stories that speaks to a deep longing within us, I think. A longing for something beyond the ordinary, something that defies logic and reminds us that there's still magic in the world.
I think that's beautifully said.
And maybe that's the most important takeaway from all of this. It's not about having all the answers,
right,
or proving the existence of angels scientifically, It's about being open to the possibility, to the mystery, to the idea that there might be more to life,
right,
than what we can see and touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
of awe, of
Yeah.
recognizing that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
It's a beautiful thought.
And in that recognition, we might find a sense of peace, of purpose, of connection
Yeah.
that sustains us through the ups and downs of life.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the biggest question we can leave you with is this. What role do angels play in your life? Even if you're not sure if they're real or not, how does the idea of these beings, these forces of good, how does it inspire you? How does it shape the way you see the world and the choices you make?
It's a question worth pondering, and one that might lead you to some unexpected answers.
Yeah.
And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to connect with us on social media or send us an email.
Yeah.
We're always up for a good conversation.
Absolutely.
About the mysteries of the universe.
Yes. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of angels.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.